Hello, everybody, and welcome to the More Sugar Podcast. I am your host, Amanda Callender. We're here today where we have conversations to help, heal, and encourage. For our new people that's joining us, the More Sugar Podcast is derived from the book I wrote, Sugar in My Grits, Grief to Gratitude Through Grace. I released the book in the middle of the pandemic, and I never got a chance to have a book signing. And so I started a podcast to create conversations around the book. So for my podcast, we have conversations to uplift. We talk about grief. We talk about anxiety. We talk about any trial that we've been through and we've made it through where we can, again, help, heal, and encourage somebody else. And I've been blessed, y'all, with some amazing guests. I would say that um, 80% of my guests are my high school friends, which is amazing the fact that they still fuck with me like that. That's one. And two is that they're doing great things in their lives. So that just shows the type of people that University High School class of 91 on produced. I don't know about no everybody that comes out of university
Thanks.
is doing some great things. I'm not even gonna throw shade. Everybody coming out of University High School from Newark, New Jersey, um, is doing great things. So we have right now Urana Lawrey was my classmate, and I picked Urana. I was going through. Urana is very inspirational for me. Every morning she puts out not just anybody can grab a quote from somewhere and toss it on into the atmosphere and hope that it sticks. But there's something I get from Urana that is very authentic. She's very vulnerable, and that resonates with me because that's what connects me to people. And one day I was just scrolling through social media and she was receiving an award, I believe, from an organization. I want to get this correct. Girls Live, Love, Laugh, Inc.
Yep.
And Inc., right?
Yes.
And they would present women who clap annual awards. They was having the annual awards gala. Urania is a community advocate and a volunteer. She's always volunteering somewhere. And I just happened to stumble upon a video when she was getting an award about resilience. And she was spelling out resilience, and each letter stood for something. And then after that, a couple of days later, my cousin defended her dissertation, who's now a doctor, will be my next guest. And during her dissertation, she spoke about resilience as well. So I nothing is a coincidence. I always try to be tuned in to what God is doing, and so resilience popped into my mind. And so um during these trying times, we're always asked to be resilient, and I'm gonna wait for my next guest to speak about the implications of always being resilient. But for now, we're gonna just get into this with Raina. And what I didn't know about Raina is, what I did know is like a couple of years ago, she found out she had a heart condition. And tell us, Raina, what first did I do your introduction justice?
You did my introduction justice. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so before we get into what your condition, what else are you into? Let's speak these programs. Let's put these programs out there.
So I am a part of Gamma Phi Delta Sorority Incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
It is a business and professional sorority. Um, we are all about the community. We are all about women empowerment, women entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
For those women that have businesses, helping them build their business, for those women that have nonprofits, helping them build nonprofits. Um, we have everything in our organization from doctors, lawyers,
Really?
yes, pastors. My sorority sister in my chapter is a pastor. She owns a nonprofit that's dedicated to domestic violence, something that she struggled with and went through. So she's a big advocate. We have women that have written books. So women from all different walks of life. We are not as big as any of the D9s, which to me is a very special thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because we get to know each other. Um,
Right.
we get to love on each other. And that's a another part of my story. You know, after my heart condition, finding out that I had my heart condition. So that's another part of my story. But I am also a newly inducted member of Top Ladies of Distinction, Middlesex Union County chapter. And one of our top thrusts are children, the teens. Just making sure that they are focused, they have outlets and things to do. So we focus a lot on teens and seniors.
That's dope. I want to hook up when we're done. I want to hook up with the like, see if you could hook me up with the pastor
Yes,
because
I
I'm doing
can.
something with domestic violence coming soon. I got a big. I'm doing something really. I'm working on some stuff, and it's definitely going to include some domestic violence. And I would like, much representation, survivors, as possible.
She's let Reverend Doctor, as I call her, my good
Okay.
Reverend Doctor, Reverend Doctor Selena Carter. She her organization is Spirit of Excellence.
Okay.
She holds a domestic violence conference every year in October. And actually my president of my sorority chapter, Danita, was actually just Grand Marshal in September for Sophia, the Sophia Walk.
Back
Sophia,
up to Danita. What's Danita's name?
Danita is Danita Gregory Puryear.
I knew her sister.
Kim, Sweet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
She actually was the Grand Marshal of the Sophia Walk in September.
Shout
So
out to all these women, man. That's doing big things. Shout out to everybody that you just mentioned. And at some point, I want to do. We'll talk offline about it because I don't want to give it away. I want to put
uh-huh.
all this like in one building at one
Yes.
time, and in Newark, in a space where we're gonna talk about. I have some big ideas that God been dealing
You
with me
already
with.
know. Let's go.
Let's
I'm,
do it.
I'm all for it.
God been dealing with me. Okay, so um, you found out you had a heart condition a couple years ago. I have no idea what that condition is. Tell me about that and how did that discovery come about?
So I have what's called a cardiac anomaly, which means I have a birth defect that
Mm-hmm.
we didn't find out until age 48. Wow.
Jesus.
Which is why I am very big on heart health now.
Mm-hmm.
So one side of my heart is not the size that it should be. So the other side of my heart is overcompensating. So this is a crazy story. Um, which actually, thank God, didn't turn tragic. But
Right.
um, I had no clue. Went to my primary care for my regular checkup.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that's the good thing about working in healthcare. You work with your doctors, they know you have the same doctors for over 20 years, so nothing surprises them when I say anything.
Right.
Um, Urana, what's wrong? Nothing. I'm just tired all the time. I literally leave work, go home, go to sleep. Sometimes I don't even eat, you know. So of course we still thinking it might be the effects of COVID.
Right. Long COVID, yeah.
Right. What he suggested, it could be the stress from work because at the time we were going through a lot of changes. Again, thank God for working with your doctors.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Let me send you for a stress test. Let's just make sure everything good.
So let me I know a little bit. So I was in the hospital and so how were your tropophin levels? Am I saying that right?
So all my levels were normal, believe it or not.
Really?
Yes, that's
Okay.
was the crazy part. Because every time they took blood work, every time they checked anything, everything was normal, which is something that we always have to be careful of.
Right.
Um, got to the stress test, walking on the treadmill, Made sure I took the stress test before I started work, so wouldn't have no issues.
No runoff.
Right. She's looking at everything, looking at the monitor. Urana, you okay? I'm fine. Urana, you okay? I'm fine. By the third time, I'm starting to get pissed off because if you keep asking me okay, now you and not giving me a reason to why you asking me, I'm
Right.
getting upset. She was like, I need you to get off the treadmill. Get off the treadmill, look at the monitor, and my heart rate is through the roof. When I tell you I left cardiology that day with a monitor on, I left cardiology that day with a monitor on. They sent me for a nuclear stress test, which
Oh
is
my.
with contrast to make
Yes,
sure
yeah.
that it gives them a clearer
A picture.
a better picture.
Right, right.
Nuclear stress test is showing the same things as the regular stress test. Now, this is all happening before 4th of July. Get to the cardiologist. It's the first time I'm meeting this man. He says to me, so I'm going to set you up for a cardiac catheterization. I would ask you when you're available, but I scheduled it for Wednesday at this time. I don't care the fact that I do work in healthcare. When we start talking about matters of the heart, everybody gets a little nervous because
Yeah. That's why I asked you about your trophophil levels. I rarely randomly went to the ER and a lady came and sat down and like rubbed my leg. Was like, so we're gonna keep you because your trophophil levels were high. And I was like, what is that? And when she explained it to me, I said, I need a cup of water so I can take these Xanax that's in my bag before you go any further.
right. So I'm blatantly asked why, like, what are we talking about? Oh, you might have a blockage. I might have a what? So now I'm thinking back to what could have been done or what I was eating or
Yeah,
what the case was that I might have a blockage.
right.
All right. So I leave again. This is on a Friday. I'm having this cardiac cath on a Wednesday. So I have to leave the cardiologist, walk to the other building, get blood work done, and then go get a chest x-ray.
So in that walk, this campus, have you called anybody or you just processing this stuff?
I'm just processing this.
Yeah.
So I get to x-ray to have my chest x-ray. And again, I've been at my job for 18 years, so I know everybody. So thank God the girl that was giving me my chest x-ray, she looks at the orders and she goes, "Are you okay?" I lost it. And I have to say I thank God for her because she knew just to let me
That you be. That you
right,
had a room.
right. No,
Yeah.
she stayed in the room with me.
You know what I mean? When I let you have a room,
Right,
it's like let you go through whatever you need to go
right,
through.
right.
Yeah.
So, she was like, it's gonna be okay, let's work through this. So we got the x-ray done. I left, sat in my truck, and I don't even think I called anybody that day because I think I just came home and was like, what the hell?
Hmm.
Like really what the hell? Um I called my girlfriends the next day. Definitely have to shout out Sparkle and Vatasa because they were with me through it all.
The
Literally
first call, that's what I always ask people when they go through something tragic or medically scary. Like that first call is always like it just shows the person that can get you to a level of calmness
right,
or
who
who
can
you
talk
can
you
get.
off the ledge.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so my first
Come
text,
up there with you.
right, my first text was to them. Um, And like I said, shout out to them. They took off work. They were with me for my cardiac cath. Usually always my first call is to my brother. My mother is still alive. Don't want to take anything away from her, but my first call is always to my brother. Um, I let my brother be because my niece and nephew's birthday was that weekend. So I didn't want to take anything
Selfless.
right. I didn't want to take anything away from them. I wanted him to focus on the kids, celebrate them. And then I called him that Monday, after the weekend, after their birthday,
So
to
you
let
had to go the whole weekend with this, have just wondering, or
I went that was that Friday. I didn't have the cardiac cath till that Wednesday, so it was a stressful couple of days.
so they don't know what's going on. They just know we got to run more tests.
Right. And the thing was, of course, with the cardiac catheterization, if you got a blockage, they can put the stent in and they can clear up the blockage. So now at 48, I'm about to get a stent put in, or two or three, depending upon how bad the blockage is.
Right.
Um, Wednesday comes, get to the hospital for the cardiac cath. And again, if you don't know, they either have to stick a wire through your wrist, and if they can't through your wrist, they stick a wire through your groin area. Again, something else that makes you nervous. Um, and the fact that you are not asleep, you are sedated. Because if they have to put a shunt in, they need to tell you to breathe to make sure that the shunt is placed right. So you're not asleep. You can hear every damn thing that's going on, everything that they're saying. So which is another scary part. Again, even if you work in healthcare, this is your heart that they're talking about. So you become what the hell? Um, wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Thank you, Jesus. They were able to get the wire through my wrist. The doctor said, Urana, did you have a normal childhood?
Oh, look, my lovely wife bought me a glass of wine.
Oh, ain't that sweet? Um, if anybody knows, is okay, are you okay? Did you have a normal childhood? I don't know how you gonna take that, but I'm also a smart ass. So when he said, Urana, did you have a normal childhood?
My normal's not your normal.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean? It's
Yeah,
literally what came out my mouth.
yeah.
Um, so he changed the statement.
These
Yep.
doctors is something else because my doctor and my wife said I have to have a cutting people off. But if I don't say sometimes if I don't say what
Right then and
comes to my
there.
mind right then and there, I'll forget. I
So
found
I
out I had asthma, and I said, "Who develops asthma at 50?"
exercise induced. So be careful when you exercising.
I said it has to be because also with COVID,
Right,
we never went in the house to work. We stayed outside. I had COVID a lot,
right. I remember.
and I said to him, I was like, "Could it be COVID? The many times have I had COVID? Could this be why I've had asthma? I'm allergic to dogs, whatever,
I am too.
dander, all a lot of things, cockroaches and stuff like
Oh,
that."
so we're in the same boat. Cause I said, who the hell is allergic to cockroaches? Till they told me that cockroaches shed like dogs. That's why we allergic to them. And I had to have a patient tell me that.
He told me it's because I grew up in basically he didn't say the hood, but that's what he meant. He said, "Where'd you grow up?" I said in Newark. He said, "Well, um, urban environments like 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 I was thrown away and the smog and stuff." I'm like, "Bro, I grew up. I'm 50 and now I have asthma. It's definitely COVID."
I had a patient tell me because my primary care is allergic to cockroaches too. And trust me, he ain't grow up in the hood. But
Right.
it's because
I
cockroaches.
didn't know they shed.
I didn't know neither till a patient. I was reading a patient's allergy list, And I was like, "Oh, you're allergic to cockroaches too?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah, they just popped up. You're allergic to cockroaches. Like, I'm gonna go get a cockroach as a pet." So he started laughing and he was like, "Are you allergic to dogs?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "It's because cockroaches shed."
I had no idea.
So we learn something new every day.
My list was like this long.
Oh
This
yeah,
is my first time ever taking an allergy, like the blood work allergy
yeah,
test. And it came back crabgrass, pet dander, some
yep,
other things that Bermuda grass, some things that I couldn't even pronounce. And now I have a maintenance inhaler. I
yes.
have two. I have a maintenance one, and I do a singular, and I have an emergency help. So I'm walking around with all, and I don't like, man, I'm not gonna use this shit until one day I was like, oh no, I need my inhaler. Like when I wake up in the morning, you take 2 squirts a day, and then the other ones, the albuterol for emergencies. But yeah, I think
I take allergy meds 365 days a year.
yeah, there's no allergy season for us.
Nope.
So what was the outcome of the cardiac test after you have the testing?
So he told me that he told me he was like I didn't have a blockage.
Okay, good
So
news.
right. So he literally called my cardiologist because it was a different cardiologist that did the procedure. He called him on the phone and he was like she doesn't have a blockage. He was like she has a birth defect. Now we just have to figure out what it is.
So how many months of testing did you have to go through?
Ooh, I want to say a good 4 months of just back and forth because they medicated me, but they had to get the medication. They had to find the right dosage of medication to bring my heart rate to a level where I could take the test. Because if my heart was beating over a certain amount, they wasn't gonna get a good picture of what was wrong. So it was literally back and forth because I needed to make sure the dosage was correct. And because I couldn't tell them, I never felt my heart beating the way it was reading on the monitor.
Right,
So I
right.
couldn't tell them if my heart was doing fine. So it was also months of walking around with heart monitors, um, trying to be careful because, like they said, at any point, I could have actually dropped dead and nobody would have ever knew why. That's
Right.
how fast my heart was beating.
So in this 4 months of testing, you going back and forth, do you say at some point we speak to God, whether we want to or not? Do you say, my man, what the hell? Or do you say, God, now I know you can still question him and trust him. But do you still be like, yo, bro, like what are you doing here?
Um, a little bit of both. Um, my grandmother, I grew up with my grandmother being the mother of the church. So my faith is always going to be strong. And this is actually not the first situation that he's brought me through. A little bit more nervous because again, it was my heart. So I don't think I questioned more so as shedding the tears saying, if it's your will, let it be.
You said that?
Because at this point I don't know what's gonna happen. Um
Look, staring at death.
Staring
the,
at
the
death.
me being dramatic. I'm going for most extremes. Like, oh my, I'm planning my funeral right now. Like, like if I have an upper respiratory infection, I'm telling my wife where the insurance policies are because
So whatever is your will, let it be. Because
you know how strong that is, faithfully to say.
um you can be strong and still have your weak points. I don't want anybody to think that. Um, it's not saying that I'm standing on the porch talking about take me now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but that's again where my faith comes in
That's
because
that's 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 dope.
at the end of the day, he has the ultimate say. So no matter what my doctors said, I
Right.
knew at the end of the day he had the final say. So if honestly with anything, and I'm gonna cry, I cried, I still cry. Um, if it's your will, let it be.
Does this condition limit you in any way? Do you still have to wear a monitor, or you just have to?
So I'm medicated. Um, it doesn't limit me no more. Um, still trying to get my strength and my energy back up. But for the most part, still out here acting a fool, um,
Enjoying life.
enjoying life, and just trying to make sure that there is purpose behind everything that I do.
That was one of my questions. Like, do you think that you found your purpose?
So I've always questioned my purpose. Always. You know, what what am I good for? What am I good at? What
What am I good for? This is
um
yes. Write that down.
and you see, and it's not comparing your life to anybody else's, but you see what everybody else is doing, and it's
Because of
like,
social media.
um, right, most definitely, because we didn't have this issue growing up.
Right.
Um, but what what purpose do I serve any and everybody?
Right.
Um, what purpose do I serve myself? So I had to think long and hard about it, and honestly, I'm an 100% supporter. That's me.
Yeah. 110%.
I that is my purpose. That is my purpose in life. I'm going to support you. I want to say in the beginning of your endeavors, because once you start taking off and skyrocketing, everybody is going to be around you.
Yeah.
So,
But let me tell you something. We never forget the people like you that was there when no, I know I don't. I can't say some people get to where
a point where they
outwardly
forget who, right.
where they come from. I pray for humility. My everyday prayer, aside from the safety of my family, is for humility, to always stay humble.
So my thing was, because I lose a lot of friends because I go quiet, and
Why do you go quiet?
because that's a coping mechanism for me.
Is it
Um,
that you're going through something and you
when
don't
I
feel like
go through
talking about it?
when I go through things, I become quiet. When I see certain things, I tend to distance myself. Um, because especially if it's a group, everybody doesn't get the same version of everybody.
Mm.
So if I see something, or somebody treating somebody a certain way, or treating me a certain way because they want to treat this one better, then I tend to back off. Or
Mm-hmm.
let me claw at this one, get my claws in this one a little bit deeper, because this one has more to give me, or more to connect me with, than this one who was with me in the trenches. So I tend to distance myself a lot. I get quiet, um because I want people to see for themselves. Everybody doesn't get the same version of everybody. um I
That's
think it's
that's that's game right there. Everybody doesn't get the same version of everybody, and women always wonder why my friendship with Samantha is different than my friendship with
right.
Cassandra. And Cassandra and Samantha having conversations. Well, I don't do that with Mandy. That's because that's not what your
Right.
purpose with Mandy is for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, and also because if you want to be close to that person, I'm always going to be there. I don't have any bad vibes with anybody. If I distance myself, I have a reason behind it.
Right.
Um, so I
So
let
do
you
you normally eventually end up like once you come out of your shell, do you end up telling them, or you wait until they come and figure like, actually, hey, what's going on?
Um, for the most part, if you know me, you know that's a coping mechanism for me. So you'll give me my space to whatever it is, get myself together. It's not always a good thing. I don't say, "Oh, I'm perfect." You know, I don't think that's a good coping mechanism, but
Right.
that's the way I deal with things because um at the end of the day, and I've lost friends for saying this, you can't be the friend to me that I can be to you.
Why? And
Because
people should, if I always say friendship is fluid,
right.
it's supposed to go back and forth. So if
So
you incapable of giving me what I give you,
let me explain this to you. I can accept you not being a friend to me that I can be to you. Want to know why? If you call me at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, I need you, X, Y, and Z, this house is empty.
yeah.
I can jump the fuck up and be on the road. If I call you at 2 o'clock in the morning, you better go in there and take your ass and talk to Kayla and make sure she good. You got to make sure Jax is good
But doesn't
before.
mean I'm not coming.
Right. It doesn't mean you're not coming. But if you can't come, I have to remember that you have a child and a wife at home.
Gotcha. I understand that. Okay, I'm thinking those limitations are different than personality issues.
No,
That you're just a fucked up person.
no,
No, Mandy might have shit going on at home
no.
that she can't make it. So I
Right,
understand as
right.
opposed
Mandy
to
can't jump up in the fashion
got you.
I can jump up.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I
you
can
can,
respect that. I can
right. So
respect that.
you can't be the friend to me that I can be to you, but I
Respect.
also accept that.
Yeah, respect.
Right. I know my friends that can jump up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I know my friends that might have to be my second call. You know, I'm okay with that.
But on the flip side of that, there are I can count on my hand a number of women that when the phone rings at 3 o'clock in the morning, first of all, I can't side eye me like, who the fuck calling me at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Right.
Where
Right.
I can go. My one of my friend Rachel, her mother was really sick. And I'm saying, okay, like when she dies, I have to go. I'm not sure when. I'm not sure what we're gonna be doing.
But I have to go.
But when I get this phone call, I have to go. And she understands that. So this is a double edged sword. This you
Right. But
not
you
being able
have
to expect things from people, and then people setting like, okay, my friend, like certain friends get past that.
right. But again, I'm okay with that because you have a family. So
Right.
not saying that you don't want to be there for me and not saying that you're not going to come through for me, but you might be there in a different way. You might stay on the phone with me till somebody else get there.
As long as it's some type of support.
Right.
That's
Right.
we gotta we women. I'm glad my circle is. I'm not opposed to meeting new people because
Right.
um spending a lot of time at Jack School and volunteering and being more public on social media. I meet a lot of nice people who has the potential to be close friends, but I just have my nuclear group that there's not nobody nothing's penetrating that.
So my other thing that I always say is I want you in my life.
Mhm.
Um I don't want anybody that I need in my life
Mhm.
because I feel like if I need you, I feel like I'm kind of needing you for a particular purpose, and in my eyes, that connects to me using you in some type of way.
That's just us being independent.
Stop, listen. So I choose who I want in my life, right?
Okay.
God gives me who I need at what moment I need them.
Preaching now.
So I don't go around needing people. I go around wanting people because I know at the end of the day, God is going to give me who I need in my life. And they're going to serve whatever purpose He put them there for.
Mm,
So if it's only for them to be there a couple of months,
right.
God gave you to me for a reason.
So during this process, what kept you up at night? Does any, not even that process right now, what keeps you up at night?
Menopause.
Oh, that's, yeah, I heard about that. When I say I heard about that, the only thing I think that I'm experiencing with menopause is insomnia.
Menopause. So that's the other thing. I got thrown right into menopause because I had a hysterectomy. That goes back to me saying I dealt with things before the heart condition. Right after freshman year of college, I ended up with an ovarian tumor. Again, not knowing what the fuck wrong with me. Um, Made me start rounding off that looking like I was pregnant. Had everybody thinking I was pregnant just coming home from school. Um, and they had to remove one of my ovaries. Ended
Were you
up going.
sad about that? About not being able to?
So at that time, I was still okay because I still had one ovary.
Okay.
Um, but had to go through a couple of, treatments, all that other crazy stuff. So he brought me out of that. So I've always also suffered with fibroids, endometriosis. Um, but they never said that I was not able to have children. Um,
But
my
with endometriosis, isn't that very, very thin chance?
It is a very thin chance depending upon how bad your case is.
Okay.
Um, and we didn't know that I had endometriosis until again later on in life.
So your periods were never painful with endometriosis.
No. So again, me
So
going.
every condition that you have is just hanging out in your life and you don't have no idea.
So I'm gonna honestly tell you, with the endometriosis, my GYN did not know it was a bad case of endometriosis until he opens me up for my hysterectomy, and he was like, "Girl, I'm very surprised you were still walking around here."
That happened to a friend of mine. She went in for a basic. I want to say I can never pronounce it.
Laparoscopic.
She went in for a basic laparoscopic hysterectomy
Uh
because they
huh.
was gonna stick the cute little camera in there and do what they had to do and come out. But when they got in there, it was more damage than what they expected. So the doctor had to go to work. The anesthesiologist had to go to work. Instead of same day, she ended up spending 2 nights in the hospital.
So my hysterectomy was never gonna be laparoscopic. My doctor told me, "I'm opening you."
I'm cut like a
Like,
C-section.
yes, I am cutting you open because I don't know what I'm getting into. Because the last time I had been cut open was in 93. So I refused to go in laparoscopically and then in the middle of surgery have to cut you open. So
Right.
I'm cutting you open from the start. Um, and literally my insides were so bad, he had to call a general surgeon, one of our general surgeons, to come clean it because I had so much scar tissue. Because again, the last time I had surgery was in 93. He had to call one of our general surgeons to come clean me up to make sure that I didn't have a bowel obstruction. So, yeah. And my hysterectomy was just a year ago. So after the heart condition.
And the thing with women's reproductive system is that it just goes, things just happen, and the doctors don't know why you have fibroids,
Right.
or the
So
doctors don't know why you have endometriosis.
so his goal was to, because of course I still had the one ovary. His goal was to leave the one ovary because he didn't want to send me directly into menopause. But unfortunately, that ovary was so damaged that he had to take that as well. So that's what sent me directly into menopause.
So when I send questions, they never go in order because of the things that we talk about. So now that you don't have any reproductive parts, there's no chance for a baby. Did you ever want kids?
Always wanted kids. Always. Um,
Is there
was
grief around that?
yeah, yeah. Not now.
Okay.
Not now. For a long time there was, especially, not getting pregnant. Um, but then also I was like, yeah, I don't need just a baby daddy, because if anybody knows my attitude now compared to high school, I would probably break somebody's neck. Um,
Right.
so yeah, I said again, it was probably the Lord's way of saying, I'm saving you jail time.
Well, like things are different now. We built a baby.
Right, right, right. That was my other thing. Thought about that
Just didn't want to do
wholeheartedly.
it alone. That could be it too.
That too, but as you see, I do so much in the community
Mm-hmm.
that that is definitely my way of having children. Um,
Oh, yeah. That's
and
that's
and
this
I'm
is godly.
auntie, right? And I'm auntie to everybody's kids.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That, that's what Tracy Ellis Ross said. That was a question I had. To my knowledge, you're single, and Tracy Ellis Ross is single.
I am not.
Oh,
um,
Raina is off the market.
we are very private, very
I like
private.
that because I had no idea. That's why I asked the question. Because you don't talk about no man. You ain't thinking about no man. You ain't posting like these girls. You ain't posting his hand and say we having a good
Oh,
time. You ain't
um,
posting no flowers and say look what he sent me. You are minding your business, and I like that.
we are very private. And it's not, I to make sure everybody's knows, it's not secretive.
Yeah,
It is just private. Um,
I like that
we
for you.
we both work in healthcare, so it's very stressful. Um, but definitely my best friend. Um,
Raina is not single.
definitely my calm to my storm. So, yes, there is the other half.
What is the greatest thing a person you've ever lost, and how did you come back from that?
I would have to say myself. Um,
You are dropping these gems, myself.
myself. Because at one point I got so caught up into being the person everybody else wanted me to be that I didn't focus on who Urana wanted to be. Or not even say focus on who Urana wanted to be. I didn't know who Urana wanted to be. So I was so caught up in this person wanting me to do this person wanting me to do that. Um, that I'm just like, yeah, yeah, because I want to stay busy. I
Right.
I want, and I want to be a part of my friends' lives. So it's like anything that they would say, I'm always there. I'm always, so I had to learn the difference between being a supporter
Mm-hmm.
and basically doing something because somebody wanted me to do it. It was like, are you just going to support them because you want to see them thrive? Does Urana really want to be a whole part of this? Like, what does Urana want? So, um, and again, opening my eyes, doing the heart scenario, doing, knowing after we figured out what was wrong with my heart, then moving on to having a hysterectomy. I think that was a time of focus for me. Of saying, what do you want to focus on? Where are you going in life?
Mm-hmm.
What's your main goals? Um, and that was really when I learned that, you can't be sad when people leave your life, because everybody leaves your life for a reason. Um, and I did my part. Again, I'm a supporter.
Yeah.
So I'm a be that supporter and that friend when nobody else can be there for you. Because unfortunately, I know how it is to feel like I don't have anybody. Not to say that I don't, but just to feel like I don't have anybody.
And that's I kind of got that vibe, but I also don't want to assume things about people. So that's why I asked, like, when I dropped my book and it announced, and if you, depending on where you got it from, if you got it from the printer, the
Right.
printer was selling it, Amazon was selling it, and I was selling them directly. And so you got it directly from me. I signed and sent out um every book that came
Right.
through my website. And the first order was from you. And I was like, wow, like literally the first order was from Urana. You got the first book. And I was just wondering, like, is this like sheer support? Or is she experiencing um some form of grief? Because I always want to double back to people, even if it's years later, and get their feedback on the book. Like, did it help you do something? Or you just let me grab this to support Mandy on her journey?
So I want to say a combination of both.
Okay.
Um, and again, what people don't realize is grief is not always putting somebody in the ground.
Right.
Um, we can grieve a person that moved to the other side of the world that you thought was going to be your best friend forever and they're
Yes.
not. Um,
We can grieve lost jobs.
right. So, grief is, whether people realize it or not, 365 days a year. Um, and everybody doesn't handle grief the same way. Um, I've lost a couple of friends that were younger than me within the past couple of years. And I don't honestly think I've still grieved because when it came down to it, I had to be strong for their families. Um, one of my girlfriends that passed away, she was her mother's only child. So it was being a strong one, helping her make sure this was done, helping her make sure that was done. Um, and I bottle up a lot.
Yeah, if you
I
don't
used
if
to.
if you don't let it out, it's gonna break out.
So when I finally do explode, there's always an issue, and it's never a good issue. Which again is something that I'm learning to deal with. But again, it's because people expect that of me, but I can't live up to everybody else's expectations of me. I have to live up to my own, and I have to deal with my own because at the end of the day, I have to come in the house to myself, and I'm the only one that has to put up with
With
me.
me.
So I have to deal with myself the way that I have to deal with myself. So honestly, I don't like upsetting people, because I don't want to be upsetted. I don't want anybody to make me mad. I don't want anybody to trigger me. Um, but at the end of the day, I had to start putting myself first. And I've lost a lot of people. I will continue to say that because I chose to put myself first, especially now during the whole menopause thing. A lot of women think that menopause is just hot flashes, night sweats, and mood swings. Baby, I'm so emotional, and this is a side of me that has never been.
Mm-hmm.
I cry at the drop of a dime. So
Really.
somebody can say something to me that would have never triggered me in the past, but will trigger me now. And that's what I'm not telling you to walk on eggshells around me, but that's what we have to realize now when our friends tell us that, okay, I'm going through menopause or I'm experiencing this. And then you have to remember I'm medicated also because of my heart and because of the allergies. So all of this coupled with menopause is not an easy feat.
Right.
because we got to think about the side effects of the medication. We got to think about the side effects and the hormone imbalance from menopause. And all of this put together is not easy. So, where people think that I'm reacting or acting in a way that is unfriendly, I'm truly not. I'm trying to get a grasp and a handle on this new situation in life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot.
That's
And
resilience in itself. But when you think of resilience, what is resilience to you? Because people throw the word around a lot. Like I'm just growing up, we were just trying to survive. From my perspective, growing up in the projects, in the hood, with the drug use and the drug dealers, and commuting to, because once you go to university, you're outside of your district school.
right.
So
So
you
you
gotta
leaving
walk
your
past your district school where
and you
now they
become a
looking at you
nerd
like they think you better.
better
You
than
think you better
everybody.
than us because you don't have to go here, and you got to deal with that and other familiar fa- family issues that you had to deal with when they what we call resilience now. I was just surviving.
And I think for me, that's what it is. I'm just trying to live. The women who I received awards with um was a class by themselves. We had one that was in a wheelchair because she's paralyzed because she got shot. Um One that basically grew up raising herself because her parents were addicted to drugs. And to look at them now and see that they have college degrees, they're in a position of power in their respective fields. They have children who have made it through those obstacles. Um, One of the things that I said in my speech is our trials don't define us, they refine us.
Mm.
So we can't let what we're going through, we can't use that as an excuse. We can say, oh, I'm dealing with this. Okay. But at the end of the day, how are we going to deal with it? You're
Hmm.
dealing with it, but how are we going to deal with it? How are we going to overcome? Um,
And sometimes it makes you a different person afterwards. After you go through something that's whether it's so traumatic, whether it's emotionally exhausting, whether it's spiritually exhausting, or whether it's physical exhausting, and you're being resilient. Once you're on the other side of that, you're not this. Sometimes you're just not the same anymore
you're
because
not.
I'm tired.
You're not going to accept the things that you used to. And the goal is for whatever you're going through, whatever you get through, for it to make you a better person, for you to see the brighter side of things. Um
What about the people that it makes bitter?
Pray, meditate, because obviously there's something missing in your life. Because honestly, no matter who you pray to or who your God is, whether it's Jesus Christ, whether it's Allah, whether it's Jehovah, whether it's Buddha, whether it's Judah, whatever,
Buddha
whoever your
Jew.
God is, if you're listening and obeying the word of God, there is no reason for you to be bitter. No reason, because everything is a stepping
I'm
stone.
gonna repeat that into the mic. If you are listening, you reading. First, you gotta read. You're listening, you're talking, and obeying God. There's no reason for you to be bitter.
No, when we pray, we talk to God. When we meditate, we listen. So there is no reason why you should not be doing both. Everything goes hand in hand. Everything that you go through is a stepping stone to make you greater. Somebody said we were at a banquet and a woman said everybody's definition of success is different. Her definition for her was going home after working her 9 to 5 and be able to spend time with her family and not be tired.
I can
Somebody
dig
else,
that part.
somebody else's definition of of being successful might be to own their five Fortune 500 company. You define your definition of success. So everything that you do is a stepping stone for you to be one step closer to your dream of success. I don't want to run a Fortune 500 company because I don't want to have to deal with 9,000 employees. I'm
Right,
sorry. That's not my dream.
right.
My dream is to make everybody a better person. Um, and I have one of my friends that's going through something right now, and I pray her strength in the Lord. Um, but she actually called me, which she can, at 2 o'clock in the morning, and she said, I know what you've been through. She said, you told me what you've been through, so you know what I'm going through. She was like, I'm having a bad day. And I just need for you to talk to me so I can get through it and over it. And before we got ready to hang up, she told me, she said, if you don't realize what your purpose is, she was like, then I need you to focus a little bit more. She said, because no matter what happens to somebody, she was like, you are the first person to pick up your phone and talk them through it. She was like, and that has no effect on whatever you're going through. She
Hmm.
said, but because you're so used to going through things, she said, you're quick to pick up the phone and talk to people.
That's being a light. It's
And
not
I
too many lights out here.
I said, my grandmother, I had to think about it. My grandmother was that way. I
Yeah.
would wonder why my grandmother, I would come in the house and she would be on the phone for 3 and 4 hours with one person.
My grandmother was the same way.
She would be on the phone for 3 and 4 hours with one person. Um, my grandmother again was the type of person that would give you the shirt off her back. So me wanting to stay in the community and volunteering is also just, I guess, me paying homage to my grandmother, me being that continuation of my
Mm.
grandmother.
You're her legacy. Speaking of like what if you had any advice? We're 50 now, right? 51. So if we could go back and if you even though you just went back to the building, you did some volunteering at the high school.
Yeah, I
I'm
did.
I'm sure that was so surreal.
It was. It was.
So if you could walk in that hall as 50, I'm 51. I'm assuming that you were right behind me or
I'll be 51 in November.
okay. So if you could walk in those hallways and see a younger Urana, let's say 17, 18, what advice would you have to give to her?
Honestly, just keep pushing. Keep pushing. It's going to be okay. No matter what you do, it's going to be okay because giving advice to our younger selves, and if it was realistic, would change the trajectory of things. When
Mm.
we change the trajectory of things, we don't know the outcome. Right
You,
now,
you was very unproblematic though. Like just like you're unproblematic now, that's how you was in high school. I can't remember like um, we there was little cliques in high school. I don't remember you being a part of no little clique, but you was always with everybody.
um,
You're not cliquish. You're friendish. Like you was everybody's friend, but not so standoffish or snobby that you fit into one little box of a clique or was with the clique girl. Literally,
the
the
Click Girls.
literally the
Um,
clique girls. Oh my god, I was horrible. If I had so much to say to my younger self, I would snatch my younger self up by the
um,
collar and be like,
because I think for me, I learned a lot from everybody.
mm.
Um,
And me,
so
I thought I knew everything.
so I wouldn't want to give advice to my younger self because I wouldn't want to change the trajectory of things. Um,
Mm.
and not saying that my life is perfect, because my life is far from perfect. But again, with every obstacle that I went through, I've learned how or what I've needed to become more involved, more humble, more peaceful, more focused. I definitely don't want to say better because I don't believe at any point I'm gonna become better. Um, but I just think that there are ways to make improvements. And definitely the biggest goal is to remain humble, to know that at any time in your life things can change, for the good or for the bad. And in those instances, what are you gonna do to rise above it? And as long as I remain humble, keep myself focused, and definitely keep myself surrounded by those that mean good, um those that have the proper upbringing. And when I say the proper upbringing, as we get more seasoned in age, um we need that closer connection to God.
Yes, we do.
So
Yeah.
just keeping myself um connected to those that are, embedded in the word, truly embedded in the word, not trying to steer me the wrong way. Um, and just focused on something other than being self-centered.
Jesus. Selfless. So what do you want what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to be when you go and they're doing your obituary and your time has come? What do you want this world to have remembered Urana for? And the legacy doesn't have to be like I used to have very superficial legacies. Like I would walk through the hallways of the hospital and I would see
The
the so and
bricks.
so family cancer center. And I always say
Yeah.
I want to buy a wing. You know, I want something more. I mean that helps, but I want to know that
I For me, just remember if I blessed you in any way. And again, it doesn't have to be, we're not talking about monetarily, um, but I'm talking about emotionally, spiritually. Um, if I blessed you in any way, um, just remember me for that. And it doesn't have to be all good, because at the end of the day, even if I was a tyrant to you, you
right.
got something out of
Yeah.
that. You learn,
You
you learn,
got something out of my foot on your neck.
right. You learn not to fuck with people like me. You got something out of that.
Wow.
So, if I blessed you in any way, just remember me for that.
That's dope. If I blessed you in any way, remember me for that. Well, so far you're doing great because that's what I remember to reach out to you and have you a guest on my podcast because each and every day, and I just want to encourage you because sometimes we wake up in the morning and we're having bad days and we just don't feel like having spewing some we just don't feel like spewing positivity. And sometimes I'll be driving if I didn't sleep well and a word drop in my spirit to make a video. Y'all know how hard it is for me to get up there and make a video, and how I wrestle with God with so much. And
So
I'll be
I
like, I don't
actually
feel like it. He'd be like, but I said,
so I actually just started a Instagram page, and it's just, I didn't reach out to anybody to follow it, but it's just for me to put up like different quotes of how I'm feeling. Some are positive, some could be having a bad day, and this is what you do. Um, I got some yoga poses up there, but it's called Uplift Me Health. Um, and it's just for people things.
Uplift Me Health, y'all. Go follow it on Instagram.
Um, and it's just for that. It's up trying to be uplifting, letting you know that you don't have to fall victims, not even victim, but you don't have to live up to everybody's expectations. There are bad days, there are going to be good days. Then we move on to make sure you meditate, poses for this, poses for that. So it's a combination of things, and it's just for upliftment, learning how to understand the impacts and how we can transform our lives.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. I just want to take the time again, even though I said thank you, like in text messages and emails, just to take some time to have like a real and raw um conversation with me and set me straight. Raina got a man. you know, and keep, and just to give you some encouragement, keep doing what you're doing because it helps me out. Even though sometimes I'm driving, I have a very bad habit, which I have to stop texting and driving. But sometimes I see things, and if I don't get a chance to hit the like or the love button or to send a
Thank
reply,
you.
I see
Right.
you. I see you every morning, and and I know what you do for a living. So I know why you're up at 5 o'clock in the morning and what you have to deal with, and not having a break. And that's what I tell people. For the pandemic, most people got a break, and they're like car babies. We got to go back into the office. I never left, and I
Right.
wasn't in the office. I was outside in COVID,
And
and that
that's
just done that just done something to me.
right.
Like,
And I think that's what people um I don't want to say don't understand, but they don't want to honestly grasp the concept of what we went through. Um
what we saw.
eh, that part and seeing it up close and personal. um like, unfortunately, we stayed open, and I work at a surgery center. We stayed open because we were an extension of the hospital.
Yes.
So we had to take the cases that could not be done in the hospital because the hospital were overbooked. We were dealing with a lot of the cancer patients because they couldn't go into the hospital because if you think about it, their systems were already compromised. So if they went into the hospital to have a procedure, more than likely half of them wasn't coming out. Um, and a lot of the staff, because we were on a thin staff. All of our staff wasn't with us. Um, but the majority of our staff, the reason that they were still working was because they were also still working at the hospital.
Yeah.
So it was a lot to lead a surgery center and to go to the hospital and to be testing patients, operating on patients, and
Worried about your own safety.
and coming home and again, worrying about if you were going to compromise for somebody, you were going to compromise your family or your loved one. I stayed away, and it's a very big difference when you live in a house with somebody and you don't. So everybody's like, "Oh, it was peaceful." Yeah, it was peaceful, but I couldn't go nowhere. It's a difference between being
Yeah.
able to go someplace and
Yeah.
being mandated to your house. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I want to go to dinner now, so I can go to dinner now and I'm good, even if it is by myself. But I couldn't even go out and go to the mall and walk around the mall. So leaving work and dealing with all of that and then coming home and being in the house with your own thoughts, was fucking insane.
Yeah.
So that definitely put a lot on me. That sent me through a whirlwind, a downward spiral. So again, shout out to my friends that helped me through that critical moment in my life. Um, but you don't understand the things that can trigger somebody. Um, so again, grace and space.
Grace and space. I'm gonna credit you for these stuff I'm writing down. Grace and space.
Grace and space. We
I
gotta
give
give,
people grace and
yeah,
space.
yeah.
I'm writing all this stuff down because I'm pretty much finished my second book. My second book covers um it came out in June. It's gonna be 5 years. So I'm trying to
Okay.
get something to commemorate that. But it covers from that until me turning 50. And in that I wrote this amazing book about grief. I thought I was healed. And I'm out here dispensing advice like I'm Dr. Phil with my chest out, and no, not that, worse than Dr. Phil. I thought I was Fraser Crane,
Oh Lord.
right? And so I mean, I was giving good advice, and everything was going great, and then my brother dropped dead,
Right.
and so
Everything just came
it
back.
questions everything that you thought you
You
wrote.
would,
Everything you wrote is like, do you believe this now?
right.
And so that's what I'm working on, and I just want to say thank you for coming, and we got to hook up like behind the scenes because
Yeah,
it's
we
like
do.
it's a lot of good that I could come back to my city to do, and not just come back to my city. Uh, we could take the show on the road. Like
Let's
that's my
get
ultimate
it.
goal, to have live recording podcasts in every city. I'm gonna start at home. I'm gonna come to Virginia Beach. I'm coming, different cities like every other podcast to do, but I
Right.
wanted to be with like my people who I
I
know
told
been
you
through some stuff and got some gems.
my goal is to make sure that everybody learns. It's not about attention. Like, and you definitely have to let people know that. And I think that's why a lot of people are so shy about sharing their stories, because people think that they're attention seeking. Um, and I was like that for a while, never wanted to post anything personal.
Right,
Um, but again, you never know who your story can touch, and you never know who is watching, because I'm gonna tell you, when they reached out to me to be honored, I was like, for what? What I do? I don't
you
think I
being you.
I don't think I did anything amazing, you
Oh, you
know?
do amazing. You do amazing. I watch you do amazing, and that's the humility of it,
Like
right?
I
You
don't
do
think I
amazing work in the community, and you just people just see you for that, and so
but you don't
you
think
deserve it.
right, you don't think people notices. Um, I am very undeserving. I feel like I'm doing things that everybody should be doing.
Yeah, yeah. People should be. If everybody did what they were supposed to do or what God told them to do, if we stop blocking the Jesus vibes, our community would be so much greater. So I
That
follow Jesus. I follow Jesus vibes, and I finally, as
and
I'm
again,
in this,
that goes back to who you surround yourself with. You know,
yeah,
again, I'm surrounded by a whole bunch of positivity, and I love it and appreciate it. You know, I would have never went back to the school. Rachel called like, "Yo, just sent the text message with the flyer. What you doing Saturday? Same thing you did about the podcast. What you doing Saturday?" I
I
said, "I'm
guess I'm talking to you.
with you."
And she inboxed me about the PTSD episode. I was like, let's do it. And I don't
Right.
have I don't have a problem sharing my platform with people. Just hit me up. Like if you
But
got a
you
story and you ready to tell it and you got something to give somebody,
right,
some jewels, some gems.
you learn a lot from those you surround yourself with. And again, it's not that any of us talk every day all day, But I think that again, God gives you who you need at that
Yes.
moment because
Nothing is a coincidence. Is my
right,
is my
I remember that day driving home from work and you called me. You know, I'm just calling to check on you. You good.
yeah
So I again I choose who I want in my life, but I'm a firm believer in God gives me who I need.
yeah
And just like now with my induction into top ladies, the three other ladies that were in my cohort, um, I can't thank them enough, you know, just praying with me, being there for me. Um, and that's what I need in my life. I need women around me that
to
pray
pray.
with
Yeah.
me and for me.
Yes.
And these are women that I definitely, I'm not going to say would not have wanted in my life, but I never had the opportunity to meet them. So God knew that I needed them at the time that I needed them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, we have to be open to receive what he has in store and planned for us.
Amen. And on that note, we're gonna end this. But as we said, we have to be open and ready to receive what He has planned for us. I finally moved on. You know, my son has been saying for a very long time that he wanted to take his art and put it on some merch, and so that's what I've been working on. This is his right here.
Let's
This is
go.
a
Now
Jack's
you know all
drawing.
now you know all I wear is t-shirts to work, so let's go.
Let's go. We got a Jack's drawing, and we got. I finally, I got that's another story I gotta tell. Once it gets done and we launch it in a couple of weeks, once I tell you that story, you're gonna be like, "What?" Nothing but God. Nothing but God. And I just
That's
want to thank you for taking your time out on the Sundays is sacred. We get to rest and it's a nice day here. I hope it's a nice day there.
it's not as nice as yesterday, but it's there. The
I just
sun is
want to
shining.
thank you for coming on to the podcast and dropping. You drop some.
Thank you
I'm
for
grateful
having
that
me.
people always dropping gems, and I pray that God continues to shine His light on you, and that you continue to do what you do and just serving the community and helping others, and never. I pray that you never fall out of your purpose, because sometimes people fall out of their purpose. I pray that you never fall out of your purpose, and
Appreciate it.
thank you for hanging out with me today.
Thank you for having me,
All
Mandy.
right. Talk to you later.
Talk to you
All right.
later.
Bye.
Bye.